guys, and welcome back to the channel, Ghostbake's SuperCoach, and we are here with our round 8 trade plans and preview. I know it's coming out a little bit late, but like I said last week, I don't like doing it without knowing the teams and going through trades and whatnot when we're not 100% sure what the team's going to look like and things are going to change, which they did again last night. So just going to go through some of the ideas and things that we're looking at doing this week, but yeah, it's still up in the air for us. We've narrowed it down a little bit, but yeah, once teams have come out now, and obviously we had last night's game, Hawthorn and Collingwood played, so we'll go through each game pretty much, or like just touch on who we've got and what we're hoping they're going to get, talk about VCs and Cs, and have a look at our trade-in. So won't be a very, very long video, but just something to get out there. So yeah, apologies if it's a bit late, and I know most people have locked their trades in and that now. So this is more just an update, not really advice on what to do. It's more what we're doing with our team and where our sort of line of thinking and everything like that. So, but yeah, this is a week where it's sort of, there's been a lot of options and a lot of things going on, and it sort of reminds me of a few weeks ago when we were talking about sitting on our hands possibly and weren't really sure who to bring in. And then we were trying to get in Zach Bailey that week, and then it was a week we had to reverse everything because of ZZ coming in and all the chaos that caused. So, and as it turns out, it actually would have been better if we sat on our hands that week, but that's okay. We do the best with what we've got, with the information at that time. So yeah, we just do our best. But let's have a look at the team. Hopefully, like I said, we've had 2 horrendous weeks in a row, so we're really hoping that we can do something this week. I had hoped that with the boost and the cash in the bank that I would be able to do 2 upgrades this week. Probably wouldn't be the case unless we go super, super cheap. So I'd rather just get the blokes in and the players in that I really want. So we'll just have a quick look at how the team's going so far. So we had the emergency on Big Oscar Steen. Wasn't really sure what he scored. It was dual rucks against dual rucks. Started off really bad. Had a good third quarter. I think he got like 30 points in the third quarter or something like that. So kicked a goal. And just some of his centre bounce tap work is insane. Like he's so good. Darcy Cameron did hurt himself a little bit last night. Had a sore ankle. He played out the game, but came off a couple of times a bit sore. I was really hoping a bit of an opportunity for Big Oscar. So unfortunately, we'll see how that goes, and maybe he will get some solo ruck time, which would be great, but just in case that doesn't happen, he'll still be there. He's made cash. His break-even was -6 this week, so yeah. Also not a great start. Love this bloke, but Angry Anderson, 20 is fucking horrible. Really, really surprised. He's had pretty much 70s every week, or high 60 and low 70s, so this was not expected, especially after he kicked the goal in the game last night early. I was like, oh, he's on. And then I hadn't checked the scores, and I looked, and I was shocked, and just kept giving away free kicks. And he does the hard stuff, and it was every time I saw him pick it up, he'd just get tackled and hold it up. So yeah, it just wasn't great. 20, that's going to stunt his cash generation, but his break-even was in the negatives. I think it's a 20, thanks to Scobes, because he always does his post-game break-evens and prices for the relevant players. I'm pretty sure it was around the like mid to high 20s for his break-even, so still be all right. He's banked some decent scores. Hopefully he doesn't get dropped, which is every possibility because McCreary and Pendle's still to come back in, so let's fingers crossed that that's not the case. Don't really want loops starting to just pop up out of everywhere. So, but yeah, really disappointing from him, especially the way I love the way he plays. So that's not the best. Nicky Dakes, we were flirting with putting the VC on him. He's just never really done it against Hawthorn. Didn't think he'd get tagged, but once again, I don't know what's up with his kicking the last 2 weeks. He's tagging himself with his fucking efficiency. Just not hitting targets. I don't know if he's just trying to bite off more than he can chew, because he has hit some really, really great kicks, but just hit the basic one. I think he's trying to do maybe a little bit too much. And obviously there is a lot of pressure. Hawthorn will probably well onto that as well, but yeah, he lucky, really, really lucky to scrape through for 103. The scaling again was just fucking crazy. Um, yeah, so that I was seeing players do one or two things and lose like 10 points and then gain like 20. It was insane. So they're all the players we've had play so far. So it's not not the greatest of starts, to be honest. With two rookies doing pretty mediocre, one doing really shit, in fact, and Dacos a 103. So yeah, we'll just quickly skim through the team. So Whitfield against Gold Coast, I'm sure he'll do pretty well there. Don't see them really. They don't really tag with Dimmer. Doesn't believe in that stuff, so I don't think that he's an issue at all. Sinclair against Carlton, I think it'd be great as well. I thought Naz would get a tag. They've dropped Cooper Lord, so unless they're going to use Ollie Hollins, which I just don't see them doing that. Yeah, I think Sinclair should have a bounce back game and get more than a ton. Hopefully a 120 plus would be nice. Ash better do something this week. It's low hundreds and should have got a 120 plus, scraped through a 90 with a shit second half last week. So I want him to outscore Whitfield. I want them both up there in the 120s. I know that doesn't usually happen, but they were both the top scorers at halftime last week, so it can happen. Ash just had a shocking third quarter. Jordan Clark tonight against the Dogs. I think that's a great shout. It's at Marvel. Dogs are running low on personnel, and I just think they're not going to really focus on the tagging, stuff like that. They don't really do that. So I think Jordan Clark could have a big game. Usually after he has a shit one, he has a good one. So he had a pretty shit one last week. So he should have a good one this week. Farrow at the moment against Brisbane. Yeah, look, he's just solid. He's getting the 60s. We know he can go high. And when Essendon do that chip, especially at Marvel, I think that he might get on the end of a few. He did a couple of turnovers late last week and against the Pies, and that sort of kept his score to that. Otherwise, he could have gone close to an 80. But we're going to talk about one of his teammates next as well, as we go through what we're looking at in our trade plans. Josh Lindsay went absolutely bananas last week at 130. Pretty much the only Eagle that turned up from memory. Playing Richmond at home, yeah, he's on field this week, especially since if you can see, Flynn Perez didn't come back in, so that's great, and couldn't use him as a loop because he played Thursday, so that's great. Lockie Jakes dropped. Now, they haven't got a lot of players to be like in the team at the moment. They got a lot of injuries, the Dogs. So for him to get dropped, it's not a great sign. He's already been managed as well, which if that was a legitimate managed or whether that was like dropped and then back in is another story. But Jakes will be going for us this week. We're not going to hold him. We were going to hold him for the Marvel run for a bit and see if his cash gen could be reset when that 30 goes out next week, but not playing. So I think he's just the best option to go, to be honest. So he's probably going to go. Not sure. We'll go into captains and VCs and captains soon, but right now, it's at VC. It'll either be VC on Bont or Butters. Not sure which one yet, but it'll be one of those guys. Butters against the Crows. He has a really good record. He's been in pretty consistent form, other than that first week against North where he did get tagged and it was a bit unexpected. He's been pretty solid since. So, at least 110s, maybe can get up to 130s. We know he has a massive ceiling. He always does well against the Crows. No Dawson in that midfield for the Crows as well. If he can get a 112 against Mullen, even if they did try to tag him, I just think he'll smash him. So I'm not worried about that at all. Already touched on Nick Dacos. Bont is that he has a really good history against Freo. It's at Marvel. we know he's playing in a bit of pain, and I really want to put the VC on him, but I'm just a little bit nervous that, the knee or something could cop a really big knock. So yeah, look, it is hard. You could always do that risky play of having the VC on him, seeing what he's on a quarter time, and if he's not doing that great, you can just straight see Butters. But yeah, look, we'll see as we go through. The captaincy options are pretty thin this week. I don't have a lot of confidence. So hopefully he does what he did last week with the tag. Freo obviously don't do that, so Bont should just be free to do what he wants. Hopefully, I liked him starting or pushing back behind the ball and just, using a bit more of his skill early on. He still kicked 2 goals and had 29 touches last week. So hopefully the knee's feeling a little bit better, even if he's playing with a bit of pain, but he can hopefully push out a ceiling score for us. That'd be great. Finn Callahan, a 130, and then since then, 2 tag games of 60s. He's not going to get tagged this week. Gold Coast won't do that. I highly doubt they'll send a Miller or anyone to him. They don't. They just sort of just go about their business and back their system. He's got to get 100 this week. He's got to move. He's got to fucking do something. I'm pretty confident he will. He's a good player. Just got to get used to getting tagged every week because he's that elite. He's a Rolls Royce. So this starts a pretty good run with Essendon and West Coast coming up. So I'm hoping this is the start of a 100 streak for him. Caleb Sarong, I have zero stock in what he'll do. Who knows? He won't, not going to get tagged. He could still get a fucking 70. So, no confidence in him. He's just there. See what he does. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. I wish I didn't start him. Sam Grill against West Coast. Yeah, I think he'll be great. No Taranto, which that goes into our trade plans, which we'll talk about, but might get a lot more midfield minutes. So we'll see how that goes. Sam Lawler out as well, so that really does help him. Keeping him for this matchup on field, I think he's safe for a 70 at least, but could hopefully get a bit of a spike, maybe push up to a 90 plus would be great. Blamires wasn't named, so he was going to be on the chopping block now with George Wardlaw out with sickness. I think he's a bit sore too, Wardlaw, and I'm not sure it's just a sickness. But with a break even at 28, I don't think he's going to do that great down at Geelong, so I'm not certain. He probably won't be fielded, which when we do our trades in a minute, I'll show you sort of what we're looking at doing. But I'll probably be keeping him to make a bit of cash. Hopefully he can get enough to hit that 300k mark. He's only about 19k off. So Murdoch, I think he had his worst game last week, which was a 67. He's still a rookie. Richmond at home, I think he can push out an 80 plus again, and he's proven it before. So I think he'll do fine. So he's an on-field option. Already touched on how shit Anderson was, and he was out loop. So not going to obviously use that score. Jagger against the Saints. Now, Cooper Law dropped, had a lot of CBA attendances last week. Williams is still getting CBAs, Chera, all that. Hewitt's not. I don't know what Hewitt's done, but he's done something because he's just not getting back in that team. He had 40 on the weekend. I don't know if it's just because they don't have the balls to drop Cripps, and they've just chosen that Hewitt's a sacrificial lamb. So, look, Jagger might get an uptick in CBAs again and be a viable hold. I don't think he's going to make too much money. He does need a spike score, and he can do it. But he can't do it if he's playing half forward. So while Elijah Hollins is out, I'm just not sure he gets back as much in the CBAs as we want. So he's most likely on the chopping block as well for me this week. Like I said, I was looking at boosting, but I don't think I will now. Jack Carroll with a ton last week, which was just fucking insane. He gets to play against his old mob. Break even's low. He will be on a bench. I'm not brave enough to field him, but he'll hopefully, if he can pop out another 60, 70, that'll be sweet. Just keep bringing up that cash, and we'll get rid of him soon. It's amazing he's held on in the team. He won't get obviously dropped playing like he did last week, but he's I thought he could have been dropped a few times for now. So Maxi Gawn, if he's playing forward against Sydney, he's not going to do fucking anything. one of my mates at work, he's a Melbourne supporter, and was talking to me today. I didn't hear about it, but he was saying that Stephen King had been resting Gawn as much as possible for this matchup, so he can play a bit more ruck time and have Heath forward, but he also doesn't want to play Heath out of form. So I'm banking Gawn. He might get a ton, but it'll be a low one. I don't see him kicking any goals against Sydney. He kicked one against Richmond. So don't experiment with forward. This is like the TDK thing all over again, and that didn't fucking work out for Carlton either. So, Stephen, just play. You're a ruckman yourself when you play. Just let Max fucking ruck on his own. I get why they're doing it, and it makes logical sense for the actual team, but you're fucking my super coach up, bro. So, yeah, don't. ZZ, safe loop this week. He's not even in the emergencies. I don't think he's going to get any games unless, I said this earlier, unless a ruckman is injured. So if a Draper or a Fort goes down, I think ZZ will come in. He's not going to come in as a key position defender or forward. It's just not going to happen. Would have been good this week against Essendon, but he'll be our loop. So we've got McAndrew on the bench tonight. I'm not trading him until he's going. I know some people have gotten rid of him to jump on Jackson. Port, I think he'll do fine against. He rucked against him in the preseason. I think it was more Vicentini than Sweet, but it might have been both. I can't really remember. But then he's got an ankless Tigers next week. So I think he's fine for a couple of weeks. As soon as he gets rested or dropped, that's when I'm pulling the trigger. So, but we might do a bit of a plan B with our trades. You'll see. Sheasel against Geelong. In Geelong, look, I don't think he's going to get a 120 like projected says. He's pretty solid, but just, yeah, it's always harder at GMHBA. I think Geelong will be out for blood after losing to Port last week, but still can produce something, relatively good. If he gets a low ton, you'll take that. Like, that's fine. Petrarca against the Giants should have a big one. Still got a 111 last week for us. Just didn't kick any goals, and Hawks did a number on Gold Coast for most of it. But whenever he kicks some goals as well, he's turning up with ease, and it's usually a 120 plus. So I think he'll kick a few this week. And yeah, we might be bringing in one of his teammates as well. So there's a few hints at what we're looking at. Flanders against Carlton. He's a who knows. He's a just, you sit there, everyone's got him, not worried. Just, he'll score. If he scores a 60, it's shit, but everyone's got him. So it's not a big deal. So yeah, I'm just happy to leave him. I don't really care what he scores. Whereas like someone like Sarong that I leave there, he pisses me off because he just scores shit. Cook, he's just been a gun rookie. Low break even still, so we're keeping him on. He can score. We're happy with the 70 pluses that he can put up. We got close to that ton. Hopefully another 80 or something tonight would be great. Off the wing against Port, so we'll see how that goes, but pretty confident in him. Philippou, just the 60% tog's just shit. He's got a low break even, so we're keeping him. It's just I don't really want him on field, which this will sort of go into what we're talking about with our trade plans in a sec, but I think he can score well against Carlton. I don't think they're great enough to like stop him. I think he can get another like 60 minimum and maybe like push up to like an 80 again. I think he could do that this week as well. So look, right now we'll leave him on the field and we'll see how it goes because we're not obviously taking Steen and Lombard shit. So we'll have a look at that. Todd Marshall back in defence. He's definitely playing tonight. Keeping him on field. I think he'll do pretty well against the Crows. I think he'll take a lot of intercept marks. Great ball user. And I'm just happy he's back because he's in and out every fucking week. Lombard shit. Yeah, enough said. Touched on Steen. And you got Tanner Bruin. At North, I think he's got a good couple weeks. So the original plan was to have McAndrew and Bruin be out when we need like a Grundy or a Sherry or a Jackson to come in and use the most expensive rookies we've got to get that player. But we've sort of looked at things a different way. So we'll go through our trade plans quickly now. So the players we're looking at. Now, you could obviously tell there's a couple in the thumbnail. The main thing is we're going to trade Lockie Jakes out now because the game is only a couple hours away. And what we want to do is I'm going to sub Carroll into the back line, and we're going to bring in the one that everyone's bringing in this week, the hands down best rookie that's there, and that is Paddy Reshko. So that'll be our first trade. Happy with Carroll just sitting on the bench, don't really care. And what we're going to do is I think that Reshko will do really well against the Eagles, so we're going to go in like that. Now, here's where things get interesting. So, the original plan this week was we were going to go early, even though he had a big break even with the West Coast matchup, and I think he could have kickstarted his cash gen again anyway. Not that we need the cash gen, but the money he would lose from his concussion that he had against North Melbourne, and then we'll take that hit, but still hopefully get a spike score, and then it was going to go back up. So for 540k, we're looking at Timmy Taranto. I think he's been solid and consistent. Doesn't get tagged because no one gives a shit about tagging Richmond players. And then with the West Coast matchup, he's got St Kilda, Adelaide, Essendon in the next 3 after that, and I think he can do really well against them as well. Unfortunately, he has not recovered in time and thrown our trade plans out the window. So, yeah, look, it's not the greatest because that's what we were going to do. If he's back next week, because it's not the West Coast matchup, I'm going to wait again because, like I said, his break-even is huge. We only were going to go early because of the West Coast matchup where I was going to take a risk and just think that he could get a close enough spike score to his 160 break-even. Like even a 125 to a 130 would have been excellent. And only drop your 10 to 12k, whatever it would be. So really annoyed and pissed off that I can't do that because it's a bit of a pod, but it's a pod I'm not doing for the sake of doing a pod. It's someone I actually think is a good pick and has a good run and, yeah, is pretty solid. So, yeah, that's out the window now. So there's pretty much 3 options, possibly 4 that we're looking at. So looking at the structure of the team, it makes it a bit easier to have a look and sort of see where we are weak, and it's the forward line. Now, there's no midfield options this week because I've got my eye on, like I said, Taranto. There's a lot of premium mids coming down. Rao's now out, so you can wait a little bit on him. We've already got a dropping Callahan and a dropping Sarong, so that's great. But Hugh McCluggage is going to drop. Will Ashcroft's already down there in value. There's a bunch of players we're looking at. Obviously, there's good ones like Baz, Holmes, Heaney that are just too expensive right now. Holmes will start to drop a little bit, so I'm just leaving the mids because I think these 3 rookies will have a decent enough score this week, and then hopefully maybe like I said, a McCluggage, or if we do decide to go the Taranto route next week, we can, but I think I'll wait a week on that. But yeah, so looking at that, that's an option that we could look at is just leaving the mids this week, which I think is a good option. So the other lines, though, we're looking at possibly bringing in. So in regards to that, we can either do two players out. Sorry, we can go Lombard out, who's clearly the shittest rookie we've got. He's in our weakest line. He's not going to make much more money. I think he's got maybe a 10k left in him at the rate he's going. So if we were to trade Lombard out, we have a decent amount of money where we could get the forwards because they're not too expensive and we already have Sheasel and Track. I'd be looking at a Took personally. With Rowell out, I think he will get a little bit more midfield time. I know people are saying he's playing more half forward, but he plays half forward and he runs, so I'm not worried about it. He'll just, regardless of where he starts, he's still going to run around the contest and help out in defensive. He just runs. That's literally his job. He's always been a runner. He was a tagger and obviously all that, so he can rack it up. The issue is when his poor scores, and by poor I mean 80s, are when, I think his lowest was a 72, but are when Gold Coast lose. So when Gold Coast lose, he's not turning up. They lost to Hawthorn, he got an 80. They lost to, they beat Essendon and got 100. I can bring it up, but I can't be stuffed right now. So, but it's when they lose, that's when he's not turning up. And yeah, I think he'll average a low ton. His ceiling, I think, isn't there really. I think he won't go above a 120 in terms of ceiling score, but I think he's a safe pick, especially for the forwards. Cozzy Pickett can't go there because of the bye, and I think he'll get the Jordan tag. And I'm just not massive on the forwards. Like I like Zach Bailey, I like a J Mac, these sort of guys. I'm not big on JHF. I just don't like him. He shits me. I had him last year and just drove me nuts. And I think he gets the niggles a lot too. So I'm happy to stay away from him. I know I'm not saying he's a shit option. I personally, it's just a thing. I just not a fan. But I think Took is the safest out of all them, to be honest. Just not in terms of his ceiling, which obviously like a JHF has, a Cozzy has, and all that. So, but we could look to go there for Took, which is a safe pick. It's like I said, safe. So it's a little bit boring. It doesn't really excite me. But we may do that, and that'll save us a little bit of cash heading into next week. And then we keep our boost as well. Because I don't really think about bringing a Reedy or an Artie Jones in. I just don't love it. I know there's not much on the horizon. Looking at Burton, maybe a Connor McKenna or Sam Cumming at the inflated price, but we'll cross that bridge. I just think Jones has the capacity to either score 30s too much, and Reedy, I think he's already dual rucking this week, so he's going to score shit. And you can get him as a loop, but I've already got ZZ, so it's just there's no point in doing that, in my opinion. If you've got a Mitch Edwards, that's where I'd do the Reedy play, because it's not going to hurt you. You're going to get your money, and worst case is Reedy either makes money or he's a loop. So, yeah. But I don't want to bring in a potential another loop. So, yeah, that's our forward option if we want to do that. And that way we can take Philippou off the field, and Cook and Marshall will be our weakest forwards, which that's not too bad. Like I said, what we could do is if we get Jagger out, because I think he's the one that I'm happy to let go. I don't really care if he spikes, cool. But rookies are there to get you the players you want. So I'm not going to hold on to him if he's only going to make another 10K, even if he's got the potential to make more. I've got enough rookies that are making money. Now, if we go Jagger out, we could bring up we could either, like I said, because we're not doing a midfielder, bring in we could bring Carroll back, or Farrow even, probably Farrow, I think, and we could use and get a defender. So the two defenders I'd be looking at is Naz. He's got a great run. Obviously, he's the number one tag target every week, but at 568, I think he is. His run is looking really good. Starts with the Blues. They've just dropped Lord, so he's not going to get much attention. If he does, I think he's too good to cop it and fail. So Naz is an option. The only bad thing about that is, once again, like with Cozzy Pickett, our buy is pretty loaded. We've already got like 4 or 5 players on that buy, and if I look at home, it rules out me being able to get a Holmes or a Baz or a Cozzy as well. So I want to time that a bit better. But he's still an option that we could do. The other option is, and this is like the fun option that I like, but I'm trying to tell myself to be sensible. And I know it's paying up for him, but that's just to get in Archie Roberts. I think he's got that absolute pig roll. Because of his age and everything, he's so hungry for the ball in that back line. All he wants is the ball in his hands. He doesn't go long unless he absolutely has to. He loves chipping it around, getting handball receives. And I know he's 580, so he's around the same price as Naz. Naz is a guaranteed, you sort of know a bit more what you're getting from Naz. But I just don't see Essendon getting tagged ever with where they're going to try and stop a halfback, because he's getting a lot of the pill and everything, but he's not super damaging. I think Merritt will still always be that number one tagger. The only thing that scares the shit out of me is having Brad Scott as the coach, because he could, oh, God knows, one day he could just be like, oh, Roberts, you're playing midfield, and then he's absolutely useless and fucking dead. So I do like that pick. It is fun. Um, and yeah, it's just something that I like the look of. Structure wise, like I said, we get rid of Smith, sorry, and it was we could bring Tanner Bruin. Um, yeah, bring Tanner Bruin or something into the midfield, and then bring in a Roberts there or something like that. So we can use our flex, which is fine if we get rid of Jagger. That's what I was meant to say earlier. So yeah, really, I am really tempted for the Roberts pick, but I do also want to save as much cash as possible. So it'll sort of round out the same, and it's just a more exciting pick that, you know, is a bit more of a pod. I know a lot of people have jumped on Roberts, but and he's got a run coming up. He's got Brisbane this week at Marvel, so I think that's fine. I don't think Brisbane are too bad at stopping designated kickers. Giants the week after at NG is a little bit more concerning, just because they've got Bedford and Angwin. You know, maybe one goes to Merritt and one goes to, if Bedford's sitting on the half forward, maybe he does watch Roberts and watch those chips, because the Giants will want to win as many games as possible. But after that, it is like West Coast, Richmond, Carlton, Melbourne, North. Like, he's just got a juicy, juicy run. So it's whether, do we get him now or do we try and wait a week or two? The problem is we've got targets we want in a week or two. So yeah, that's the risk. But I'm really, really tempted. Really tempted. And the last one we're thinking about, which this would have been our lock, even with the Taranto news, is trade Jagger out, move Bruin into the midfield, and bring in Luke Jackson. So that way we'll have, if McAndrew is dropped, we've already got that ruck there, and have McAndrew or Jackson sit at flex for a little bit. I still think Jackson will score well tonight. The only issue is, I've looked at his run. It is a tougher run, I think, coming up. Like, he can still score well because he's not just a ruck. He can go forward. He is a mid. He can cover the ground really well. But yeah, it's still paying 600 plus K, which I'm trying to avoid. I know Roberts is 580, so it's like 45K difference. But it does add up, and if it costs me an upgrade the week after or makes me have to boost when I don't want to, that's where it's the issue. So yeah, look, I had a different thumbnail I made for this week as well, and I had to legit change it because it involved McCluggage, Taranto, and I was like, well, we can save that for next week because there'll be more options for us next week. So we went with the Jacko and the Piggy Roberts, but that's sort of what we're looking at the moment. So look, we're going to leave it there, and we're going to leave it a bit of a surprise as to what we do. The safe option is Took. I'm more leaning towards, it'll either be Took or Archie. Took if we want to be safe, and Archie Roberts if we want to just have some fun and roll the dice. Naz, I don't think so, just because of the buy. He's still a solid pick, and I can go there if I want, but I did have him last year too, and I want some excitement out of the game, and I really want something a bit different. And having Roberts, even if he doesn't do great the next 2 weeks, I think he's gonna pig out in the next few. So it's just about now or in a couple weeks type of thing. Whereas if we do go Took, it does help us save a bit more cash, and not spend up, and that might be able to get us a Roberts in a few weeks. So yeah, look, that's what we're aiming for. Dogger, the run and the fact that I'd have to pay that much is sort of what's keeping me off him. As soon as McAndrew is rested or whatever, I'll pull the trigger on getting a ruck anyway. But that could even be a Grundy. It could be a Sherry. I've already had Sherry since when he wiped the blood on it, McGrath. So not really into bringing him back in. But and I had English as well, but even he can drop. So, and it'd be good to see how he goes. So I think I'm going to hold off on the ruck, and let Dogger go through this week. But that's sort of what we're looking at anyway. So give us your thoughts on what we're doing. Let us know what you're doing. Always keen to see. I'm hoping this is a better week. So I just want to have some fun. But do we be safe or do we just fucking go for it? You let us know what you want us to do. I'd love to hear some feedback on those trade ideas. But yeah, other than that, that'll be how we go about things. I hope you guys have a ripper weekend. Hope your team kills it. Hope your trades work out. Obviously, give us a like, please. Give us a follow. Follow us on Twitter, ghost_bags. Give us a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Just that's been building nicely, and I thank everyone that has supported and keeps giving us the love, and I love interacting with you guys. And yeah, obviously from now on too, we'll be jumping on SuperCoach Pro's channel on Wednesday nights for the Hump Day Pump Up. That's what we've called it. It's just our live stream just to get us through the week. So sort of that in between period from last week and the coming week. So we want to have some fun there as well. So make sure you keep an eye out and jump on that. Follow us on X so you can follow all the stuff that we're talking about and posting and doing. But yeah, other than that, guys, enjoy your weekend. Hope you kill it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.